Alright, I'm just going to wing it. So we have human development, right? From the start to death, basically. But the idea is that every human has to go through a certain series of desires and needs and progression in the same type of way. Well, not the same way, but the same type of progression. Every person has to kind of grow up, as it were. So I've kind of put together the spiral dynamics and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and my theory is that there's a way to play those with each other to create basically a path of human maturity, as it were. The way to improve and become better no matter where you are on this path. So we start out with spiral dynamics. The first color is beige, which is just your personal trying to stay alive, doing anything to survive, food, water, sex. If there's a bad guy, you'll kill him, whatever. And it kind of goes along with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the first level, which has, your physiological needs of food, water, warmth, and rest, and sleep, and air, and whatever. So you kind of have all these things mixed together where your desire is to survive. That's about all you got. And if you are alive and you're not hungry and you're not thirsty and you can breathe okay and nobody's chasing you, then you basically got that part on lock, right? You're good. You're alive, you're fine. You can sit down for 5 minutes and not do anything and be okay. That's kind of the idea. Now, the second level in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is safety, which is security. Like all of your first needs, the food, the water, etc., are all completely guaranteed, as it were. You are safe. You have shelter. You have somewhere to be. You have access to food and water and air, and nobody's trying to kill you. You're safe. You're basically good and stable. You have a lifestyle now instead of just being alive. You have something that keeps you safe and something that makes all of your what do I say? All of your needs, all of your base level needs are good now. You're fine. Now, this kind of goes along with the next level of the spiral dynamics, purple, which is tribes and believing in a magical deity or whatever. That whole deal. In between these two levels, there's actually kind of a sub level, whatever. Like imagine a pack of wolves, right? Every wolf can survive on its own. It'll run around and attack a thing and eat it and live, and maybe something else will attack it and eat it. But it's chilling. It's a what's the word? It's a predator. It's an apex predator. It's doing its deal. But when you get a bunch of them in a group, they're not really they're not really doing much. They're not attacking each other. They are working together to get more food, and that gives you that safety and security. You're with a group of other things that are just like you, and you can, they'll help you and you help them, and everything's fine. That's kind of how the whole purple world works. It's all tribes. Everything is for the group, as it were, because you're part of the group. And so everyone in the group is trying to help the group, so everyone's helping each other inherently, even if they're not actually, scratching your back, you scratch mine. It's just a part of the whole group, whatever. Okay, so next up the level, we have, next up on spiral dynamics, we have red. So we have beige, purple, and red. Red is kind of swinging back to the self, as opposed to being part of the tribe. Red is all about like domination, taking what you want, selfishness, pride, anger, the whole deal where you just f everyone else in the world. Just fuck everyone else in the world. But I'm gonna get my stuff done, and everyone else can suck it. If somebody's in your way, you kill them. If somebody's got some food and you're hungry, you kill them, and you eat the food, and you eat them. I mean, who knows? It's very self-centered in a way that's not just staying alive, but being better. Being the best, being literally, I am the coolest, best thing ever. Blah blah blah. You feel me. After red, we kind of shift up into the blue, which is following the cause for the greater good. So imagine a religious sect, or maybe like the Amish. There's a whole community there where everyone is following a specific cause for the greater good, not necessarily just for the greater good of themselves or the group of people they're in, but they're following a cause. They're following a reason to be doing this. And that kind of brings people together if they're both following a certain cause, as opposed to just everyone in a group helping out the group. If two people are in a group and they're both fighting for the same cause, then they can kind of, they see each other. They're on the same page about a lot of things. And that brings us to our third level of the hierarchy of needs, belongingness and love, intimate relations, and friends, etc. So once you actually have a kind of a society that all works towards the same cause, then you can kind of branch out and find more detailed parts of yourself, instead of just, I need to live, I need to be safe, I need to be secure, I need to, be helped and help the group or whatever, I need to do everything and help me out. You kind of see the more detailed side of yourself where you're willing to do... God dang it. Sorry. So you're willing to, see other people as other people. You actually see them as, another being that could be equal to you, not just we're both subservient to the leader of the tribe type of equal, but real human, complicated, emotional, whatever, an actual other equal person. And so that's, that gets you your intimate relationships, that gets you your friends. If two people like the same thing, then they'll talk about it and hang out, whatever. If people have the same values, then they'll hang out more. That's where the societies come from in the first place, really. But still, that's kind of the cause that you follow for the greater good, is whatever your values are. And so if you have a group of people who all have the same values, then of course they're going to start working for the greater good. And that's part of what the blue level kind of does for you. It lets you see other people's values, and lets you, kind of see if they work with you and if you can work with them. Alright, so moving right along. Next we have level orange in spiral dynamics, which comes after blue, which again switches back to the self. You see how it's been tick-tocking back and forth. So orange is, still working for your own self-interest, but within the system that was created by blue and the relationships. Whatever the system of values is that's, created in your society, orange is the one who tries to, help himself out through that system. It's not down like red where, everybody, just F everybody, I'm going to do me. But orange is like, I get that everybody needs help, but I'm going to work for my own benefit within this system that everyone is being helped by everyone. So you are still, rooting for yourself, looking out for number one, however you want to put it. But you're within the society. You're still living in the society and benefiting from it, That brings us to level 4 of the hierarchy of needs, your esteem needs, prestige, and accomplishment. Once you are at the level of orange, then you can set your own personal goals, because you're working for yourself within a system, and so you have to set goals for yourself within that system to do this or that. Even if you're being a bad guy, steal money, you're still working within a society to steal some money from another person in the society. Not to mention actually, getting that promotion or whatever the hell you want to do. But once you have that ability to do those things for yourself within the system, then you have, a little bit of self-esteem. You're like, I'm actually a cool guy. All these things are happening around me, this complicated society, and I'm doing well for myself. So you kind of have, some happiness about yourself. There's your self-esteem. There's your prestige and accomplishments and whatever, And if some other people who are still, in the blue world, or even if they are in orange as well, they can still see that you're working, that they can see that you're trying and doing things, And so that can get you some praise or whatnot. You can feel good about that. After orange, next we get to level green, which TikTok's back to, society or whatever. Green is all about harmony between everything, being eco-friendly, green, save the trees, save the dolphins, food for everybody, world peace, let's see, peace and love, the hippie kind of deal, all of that. Green, chakra, energy, BS. That's kind of in the same area. It's all about world peace. Everybody work together. Everybody should have access to food and water and air and shelter and everything. Green is where you start to see that everyone should have all these things instead of me or my tribe or my society or whatever. Green is where it gets to worldwide, where everyone is an equal. Um, let's see. Green works great, but there is another level after that. So then there's yellow, which is in the second tier. We got beige, purple, red, blue, orange, green, which are all in tier 1. Then we have tier 2 of spiral dynamics. Step 1 is yellow, which basically you become aware of the way the world actually functions and flows. So change is natural. You kind of go with your life. You're trying to live fully for yourself, responsibly. You're trying to do everything the best way that you can. And it's kind of a stage where you're a little jaded, because it's really the first stage where you can actually even see and notice that there are other tiers of people. You can actually look at somebody, and if you talk to them and actually get to know them, whatever, then you can kind of see what color they're living in. If they're in green, harmony, happy, go, everything in the world, they're a nice person. That's awesome. If they're in orange, then they're trying to do whatever for themselves. They're cool, etc. As you go down the line, you can see kind of where you've come from, as it were. Once you get to yellow, you can see where you've come from and the way that you want to continue doing everything. You have your own personal way of being, your own personal system of values that you're just trying to follow to the best of your ability. It's just your own thing, and you're trying to do it, and you're trying to be natural and flow with life, and you understand harmony and everything like all the other tiers do. You have all the other tiers in your belt at this point. You can do anything you need to, but you're just trying to do good for yourself and maybe the people that you love. But that's about it. You're kind of awakened to the way the world is. That kind of goes into the top tier of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the self-actualization tier, because you actually understand what you are, what you want, what you're doing, and you're working towards it. If that's not actualization, then I don't know what is. You're happy with yourself, and you're working on whatever you want. That's great. You understand the world. That's self-actualization, I guess. But then finally we get to the final level in spiral dynamics after yellow, still in tier 2, which is level turquoise, which swings back to, everyone, the world, whatever. And really, if you look into turquoise, it's straight up just non-duality, or enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. The whole idea of everything is one, the universe is made of all the same thing, whatever, infinite consciousness, all that jazz. And a lot of people down in green, the hippies, the harmony, the eco-friendly, save the dolphins, peace and love, they say that, they're at the top level of tier 1. So they've kind of got an idea. They've probably tiptoed into yellow and maybe turquoise, if they're trying, if they're meditating or whatever, they can kind of see what's going on a little bit. And so that's where a lot of that comes from in green, because they have those snippets of what it really is, of the enlightenment, of the non-duality, of whatever, of the yellow tier even, of just being yourself and doing your life. And they have these little snippets of it, and they try to bring it into their smaller worldview of, green, harmony, etc. So turquoise is really the highest level that you can get to so far that we know of. It's literally actual non-duality, being one with the universe, and knowing your place in the universe and just existing the way that you need to. It's like what's the word? So there's self-actualization and then self-transcendence. That's the word. Because in the level of turquoise, there isn't really a self anymore, because you are just part of everything. You just see you see the matrix, as it were. You're just part of everything as it is. You're not worried about yourself or your needs as much, because you already kind of have that all on lock. You've already gone through the hierarchy of needs. You've gone through all the different levels of spiral dynamics. You're at the top level. You can see all the levels of everything else. You must appear very wise to anyone who's on a lower level because, you actually understand and they're still working to get to a higher level, etc., etc. But yeah, that's kind of the process that you go through as a human being from the beginning to the end. What we know so far. That's the levels of maturity. That's the levels of progress in life. Those are the levels that every human being needs to go through. Every single human being needs to go through all of these levels. And in my personal opinion, every human being should be trying to get to the highest level that they can and continue to move up through that process, always. Whew. That was quite a bit, but Spiral Dynamics by Clare Graves and Hierarchy of Needs by fucking Maslow, whatever, what's his name? Anyway, there you go, the end.